or talking about the ideology of Islam being the most antithetical thing to libertarianism there is. Like being a Muslim, you cannot be a Muslim and be a libertarian. I'm sorry, it's not possible. It's possible to be a Christian and be a libertarian. While I disagree with Christians, we both do, right? I think they're wrong. You can be a Christian anarchist. You cannot be a Christian Muslim without just picking apart your religion to an insane degree and essentially being a Muslim on aesthetics only, right? And so, you know, but
because they have a specific legal theory, right? They have the Sharia law, right? Which is
it's part of their religion, right? Like it's about conquest. It's like it's a demand. It's a demand to lie, right? They have a demand to lie in order to push Islam. You know, they have apostasy as a crime. A legal crime in their religion is if you leave the religion, we kill you, right? Like there's so much wrong. There's like legal opinions in the Sharia law of like, you know, women's testimony in court is only legally to be considered half that of a man's, like, you know, which might not have been a bad idea on that one. I don't know.
Welcome to the Tucker Marlor Show. I am the host, Tucker Marlor. Joined with me today is Halit Ozgur, founder of Boston College Libertarians. Halit, how are you doing?
Doing well. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, of course. So what kind of brought us on is the clip that I just played before the show of Fabian Liberty talking to Luca Zulu about how Islam isn't compatible with libertarianism. Now, I know a ton about libertarianism. I know pretty much nothing about Islam other than a lot of conservatives really don't like it. So what is Islam?
So before I talk about what is Islam, I think it's better to address why conservatives don't like Islam a lot, and it's primarily because of immigration and how immigration is handled. Mm-hmm. If it were the case that you don't have the welfare state and these immigrants didn't have the ability to sort of leech from society, I don't think this problem would be as dramatic as it seems. There's also geopolitical stuff that's influencing people to not like Islam. This stuff that's going on in the Middle East. And, on the flip side, similarly, Muslims don't like Americans. At least Muslims who live in Middle East don't like Americans or Western civilization, stuff like that, because they just keep interfering with their affairs. So there's, our world is sort of engulfed in conflict and war, and that only results in hate. I can't really blame either side for this.
Yeah.
So I understand why they might be motivated to hate Islam, but I think it's still wrong to just generalize it in a way that all Muslims are like this. You can still make general statements about Muslims. Don't get me wrong. I make general statements too. You can't say generally Muslims are X, or generally this group, this demographics does this. You can make such statements to address a point. But again, this comes with the sort of exceptions where, there are single individuals who are different. And in this case, that's me, because they said that there's no way you can be a Muslim and a libertarian. Well, I exist, and I know plenty of Muslims who are libertarians. Actually, in Turkey, there's this guy called Cemre Demirel. I don't agree with him a lot on other stuff, on theological stuff, on other things, but he is like a huge Ayn Rand fan, and he's like pro-capitalism. He's not, he's like he's a huge Ayn Rand fan, and he's a Muslim.
Interesting.
He's a Muslim. He's a very obviously he doesn't agree with Ayn Rand on the religion stuff.
Yeah.
Because doesn't make sense. But everything else, you can read the Quran in a way that prioritizes self-benefit. You can, because there are explicit verses in the Quran that talks about trade, like doing good deeds as trades. Like when you do something good, you should do it because it's going to benefit you in the afterlife.
Yeah. So
that's the logic.
So just give a.
Yeah. I'm getting to what Islam is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we can get to that in a second, but you just because you just mentioned that, just so for people who don't know, Ayn Rand essentially developed this philosophy called objectivism, which it draws from other people a little bit from Thomas Aquinas, a lot from Aristotle, but is generally her own thing. And essentially, what makes it different than other philosophies, a lot of it's epistemological and metaphysics stuff. What is the world and how do we know things, right? And that stuff is it's probably the more important part, but it's probably the thing that people know less about it. But it's pro-capitalism, and with that, it's pro-selfishness. It's pursuing what is good for your own life, right? And generally, this is as opposed to religion, right? If you look at the story of Christianity, what is the most important integral part of all of the Bible? It's Jesus dying on the cross. It is him sacrificing his life for us, right? And then what are Christians supposed to do? Is they're supposed to be like Christ, right? That's why they're called Christians. And so essentially it's interesting to hear you say that, hey, there's this really religious dude who also loves Ayn Rand. And obviously not everything Ayn Rand believes would be compatible, as you just said, because that she's an atheist. But it is really interesting to hear you say that. But maybe that's just because I know nothing about Islam. But yeah, you can get into what Islam itself is now. So I will know.
Yeah. So Islam is strictly belief in one God. So our belief is that there have been many prophets in human history that preached the message of one God. We call that Tawheed. And yeah, all these prophets, including Jesus, Moses, and everyone else, preached the message of one God and his laws. And we believe that Prophet Muhammad is the last one of these prophets whose message wasn't corrupted by society. That's the basic premise of Islam. Similar to Christians and Judaism, we believe in, I don't know actually about Judaism, but we believe in afterlife. We believe in heaven and hell. We believe most of the conservative sort of principles, like not doing drugs, I guess they do drink alcohol, but we have those rules as well. Like no adultery, no same-sex marriage, stuff like that. Those are our general rules for our society as Muslims. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I can say theologically we differ with Christians on the Trinity, and Jesus being God, or Jesus sacrificing himself for the sins of mankind. We believe that everyone is accountable for their own sin, and yeah, I think it's more logical that I see where Christians come from. It's sort of a humble approach, which is why I guess Ayn Rand really hated it. It's a very humble approach, saying that human beings are just inherently evil, and only God can save us. When we the Augustinian approach is that when we do something evil, it's from us, but when we do something good, it's from God. Some Muslims do believe in that kind of worldview in a way, but not necessarily. Strictly, there are verses where it says mothers will sort of drop their babies out of concern of their own soul, because they know that after that hour strikes, after the sort of... Oh, yeah, so I guess I should preface this by saying we believe in this this worldly life, as an examination. This is an examination for us. So God is basically filtering who's the best and who is not deserving of heaven, for example. And it's determined by the ultimate judge, God himself. So, when the hour strikes, mothers will basically just say, okay, it's over now. The examination is over. I guess I should just worry about what's going to happen to me. They're so terrified. They're just I don't even care about my baby at this point.
That's horrible.
Well, I think it's a hyperbole. I think it's just stressing the point that you should really just care about what you do yourself, and not necessarily we don't have the idea of original sin. We believe that everyone is born pure. We don't inherit sins. It's just your actions, your own mind, and the world in front of you. That's the difference, I would say.
It sounds like Islam's believes pretty strongly in free will, then, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, free will. Yeah,
Base.
because if you don't have free will, then what's the point of the examination?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't.
That's why I don't understand Calvin. Yeah. Just to add on to what you were saying earlier about like is like the sacrifice and stuff, and like how we're just like Christianity views man as just like inherently sinful. Is like Martin Luther, started like Protestant Reformation. This was a huge chunk of that. He would like whip himself, like he like bad stuff, like. One thing I was curious about, because you're kind of going through the list of no-nos that every religion has. You're not allowed to do this. Are you guys allowed to drink coffee?
Yes.
Interesting.
There was a time. I think, in the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Empire declared himself the Caliph, and Caliph is like not the Pope, but basically like the ruler of the Muslim world, let's say. And I think it was Murad IV. I'm not sure who this was, but basically coffee was banned because it was a drug. It was an intoxicating drug. But later it was found that it's not intoxicating, and Quran strictly prohibits intoxicating drugs, not stimulating drugs, I guess. So coffee is a stimulant, and it doesn't make you drunk, or it doesn't make you intoxicated. So the reason why we don't drink alcohol is not because there's a specific verse in the Quran that just singles out alcohol. It's just intoxicants, material, like stuff that blurs your reason overall. Like that's marijuana, that's even cigarettes. They also make you high. That stuff is completely forbidden, as far as I know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
coffee's allowed.
Okay, cool. I was just curious because when you're going through the list, it's pretty similar too. So I live in Utah, and we're kind of known for the Mormons, and so their list is pretty similar, except for they can't drink coffee, and other than that, it's similar to stuff you did mention. But I know you guys have like restrictions on like is it pork and chicken? I feel like there's multiple restrictions on meat, but it's depending on who's prepared it. Correct?
Exactly. So the pork is just not allowed, period. Any dead animals, as in like the animals just sort of let's say a car hit a deer and the deer is just rotting on the side of the road, you're not allowed to eat that. The animal has to be slaughtered. The animal has to be slaughtered, and it has to be slaughtered in the name of God. This is the Orthodox approach. Other people disagree on some of the details, I think, because I guess for Hadith reasons. I have no idea, but that's the standard approach. And generally, it's accepted that when a Jew or a Christian slaughters the animal because they claim to believe in one God, that's okay. It's allowed. So if you're in a Christian country or if you're in a Jewish country, you can just go eat their red meat, like beef, chicken, whatever. So yeah, that's the general approach.
Yeah. The reason I thought of this is because I'm not sure if this was right after I met Halit, but I'm pretty sure it was. Is we were waiting at line at Mises University, and we were waiting in line for food.
Yeah.
And I was talking about, I was like, wait, so can you eat this? And I think you said you're not allowed to eat pork, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck? Jews can't.
So the reason why.
I was gonna say Jews can't eat pork either. You guys should be friends, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I am friends with them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was an Orthodox Jew. Okay, yeah. His name is White Michael, I think. Yeah. We were good friends. Like he was very open-minded. We had good discussions. We weren't keeping in touch, but it was a good time. And yeah, there are a lot of similarities between Islam and Christianity and Judaism because they are all Abrahamic religions at the end of the day. Which sort of brings me to the sort of more relevant topic here in this video is they're like saying, oh, you can be a Christian and a libertarian, but you cannot be a Muslim and a libertarian.
Yeah, exactly.
Socially speaking, the laws do not differ that much if you're strict about Christian laws. They don't differ that much, as far as I can tell. Women are still told to be modest in their clothing. The witness stuff. I mean, he agreed with the witness stuff. I guess I don't even have to debunk it. He's like, yeah, I guess we should do that. I'm like, okay. As far as apostasy, that's definitely a controversial topic among Muslims, so I'll give him that. Obviously, I disagree with apostasy laws because they are not based in Quran. Actually, they contradict Quran. Quran explicitly says there is no compulsion in religion. And there are also like they sometimes bring up things like jizya and other taxes. These are not things that are implemented by the Prophet himself. The later caliphs implement these things, and these taxes are not listed in the Quran. And jizya, there have been instances of jizya being implemented not as a tax but as a fee for protection. So I think there was an instance where the Muslim army was protecting the Syrians, the Assyrian community against Romans, I think, and they collected the fee. And when they realized that they were not able to do that, that was not a good investment, or like it was not a good war to engage in, they just gave the money back, for example.
Based.
So yeah, like you can definitely see it as a fee. And if it is the case that like 90% of the caliphs implemented these as taxation with threat of violence, then I would just say to my Muslim brothers, like, we should stop this.
Yeah.
We should not do this. It's not necessarily like strictly said in the Quran. As far as I know, at least, I'm not an expert in religion in Islam. I've read the Quran, but there are a lot of verses about wars and stuff. I would say they're mostly context specific. So yeah, you can distinguish Quranic verses with God's commandments that are universal and timeless, such as the intoxicant stuff that I just mentioned, and there are stuff that are just very context specific for the Prophet at the time. And we can easily distinguish this. You can look at the interpretation, you can ask scholars, but I don't think it's a delusion to be libertarian and a Muslim, because of the simple principle that almost all religions agree on, that you're not to steal or murder. So if you were to apply these principles across the board, as God said in the Ten Commandments and in the Quran and other sacred texts, then you would just arrive at libertarianism. Libertarianism is just a logical conclusion of those principles. So
yeah. So do you guys believe in the Ten Commandments? Because I just know that from Christianity, of course.
Well, we don't necessarily have 10 commandments. We do believe in the same story as Jews and Christians do. That there were Mosaic laws, and we can only assume those are the 10 commandments, and they sound very in alignment with what Islam preaches. All the commandments except the Sabbath one, I think. I mean, no, actually, it is totally valid that the Sabbath is for like Jewish people within Islamic framework. I actually have no idea, but yeah, as far as every other commandment is concerned, yes, we believe in those stuff. Yeah.
And something you mentioned was like, most people at least say they believe in things like you shouldn't murder, you shouldn't steal from people, but it's this complete inability to apply that to others. Like, so in their own personal life, generally speaking, people are like, yeah, I won't murder people unless if it's a baby in my womb. But other than that, I won't murder people. And I don't steal generally. But then when it comes to politics, it's like they have no issue telling politicians, like when you're going to vote, you're essentially saying, hey, so I would like you to enslave people this way. You're essentially fighting over the way that people should live their lives, because every law, right, really, regardless of whether or not you push this away in your mind or not, is backed up by the threat of violence. And like something, I didn't mention we would get into this, so if you don't want to talk about this, it's fine. But like something recently I've been thinking about with like the Charlie Kirk assassination, which, obviously horrible,
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did see you post something online about it, and I liked it. It was both like physically and I also just like liked the post. It was really good. I pretty much, you captured it perfectly. But something I've been thinking about is like all these people are like, hey, listen, he never supported political violence ever. And like all these people are saying, I condemn political violence. You know, all the politicians are saying, I condemn political violence. It's like, no, you don't. Literally, I am one of the only people I know. They'll condemn every part of political violence except for that from the political apparatus, the government. They're like, it's wrong when you guys commit it, but when we do it, we don't even consider it political violence. It's like, what the? It's political.
Yeah.
You're a government, so that's political, and it's violence. You're using force. So it's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah. Another thing that really annoys me is I have a lot of, like, obviously I'm in university, so I have a lot of Democrat friends, and they're just like pulling all these clips of Charlie Kirk and like say, oh, look, this guy was bad. Like he just has really bad takes. Mm-hmm. What is your point, dude? Like, yeah, I already said I didn't agree with his takes, but this is obviously just a wrong thing, and it's political violence.
Yeah.
And you're the guy who is supporting political violence. Like when I talk to these people about, for example, Ukraine, and when I tell them about how Ukraine conscripts Ukrainians forcefully to fight their war, they're like, "Oh, that's just necessary for Western civilization, Western liberal democracy." I'm like,
"Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is just hypocritical," and they're just so. I don't know. My experience has been so far that.
Oh, you just cut out. Shoot, it's been going so good.
So we're sort of diverting.
It's a sec.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you're talking about like in college how like a bunch of people are being silly about what happened.
Yeah, and my overall experience is that people are very angry about this. Like especially people who are cheering for Charlie Kirk's death. And like I am taking political science classes, and I mean I don't know what I expected, but you know the professor that I'm taking, she's a wonderful person, but she keeps sort of pushing her opinions in class when we were supposed to be reading Machiavelli or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I think both Democrats and Republicans are very tiring for me. Like I just can't deal with them anymore. I cannot. Like the mental strain is just like weighing on me, and I'm like,
it's bad.
Yeah. So we do weekly meetings in the Libertarian Club, and that's like the day I'm looking forward to. Like every week, I'm like, can I just get away from these people and just like talk with sane people? So
I totally agree. I have a good friend of mine who he'll be watching this. He'll know that I'm talking about him, and we'll just like go on walks and like talk about stuff. And he didn't used to be an anarchist, but I pretty much just like I cut him down. I just whittled him down, especially with argumentation ethics, because he's just totally convinced of argumentation ethics. And in fact, he's still in high school. I'm not, and he's in the debate class. And recently, he did a speech on why taxes are dumb, and it was awesome. Like, it's cool that I still have an influence there even after I've left. But he's my little oasis, you could say. Like recently, I was at this place, and I was talking with a bunch of people about like I was just trying to convince them that stealing was like inherently wrong, and I kept running into issues, but I couldn't convince them that scarcity existed. They thought there was like an invention of capitalism. I'm like, no.
That's such a socialist way to think about it. Yeah.
I was like, wait. So let's pretend this is an apple. If I have this apple, then surely if somebody else takes the apple, it precludes me using the apple for my use, right? And they're like, just get another apple. Like, no, let's stop. I'm like, okay, maybe to make it more clear. Like the
problem is that there is no other apple.
Yeah, exactly. That's like people don't understand what you're getting at when you're saying this specific thing is scarce. Like I talked about like, okay, to make it more obvious, because obviously, you know, apples are more fungible than other items. I said like my eye, right? Clearly, if someone were going to take my eye, that would preclude my use of that eye. And they're like, yeah, well, technically everything is really energy and matter, and there's an infinite amount of energy and matter. And I'm like, they said that energy cannot be destroyed. What?
There is an infinite energy.
Well, they're saying is that energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes where it is, right? Which is just like totally.
Sure, but law is about like this is a human law.
Mhm.
This law is made for human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
And we value things in strict units. Sort of harkening back to Austrian economics. There, I value this phone individually. Like I don't care if this phone can be physically sort of described as like atoms and energy and stuff like that. What I care about is this phone. So I guess that's an answer. I think that's just running away from the problem.
Totally.
And as Liquid Zoo like argued this like 100 times that I've watched this debate, like a lot of people run away from the conflict, and they just fail to recognize that there's only like two ways out of this: either one party wins or the other party wins. Like there's no other way.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Do you remember when he was debating Jacob Winograd? Do you have to go fairly soon, or are you still good to talk?
It's fine. Yeah, okay. No problem.
He was debating Jacob Winograd, and I don't know my thoughts on this. Maybe this is something to talk about another time. But like on group property, like is it legitimate or not? But he's like, okay, so you have a wife and husband who can't decide whether to paint the house yellow. Now, who should win out in this dispute? In Jacob Winograd, he just kept saying, well, they'll come to an agreement. It's like, but that's not what property rights are for. They're not for when we agree. They're for when we disagree. They're to give us objective boundaries over what should be done with physical scarce items. And it's like, no, but they'll figure it out. It's like, it drives me up a wall, man. It was like, it's so dumb.
Yeah. Like if they I guess you can push say they're not just figuring it out, they're actually going to get a divorce. And one of them will own the house, right? Because they don't want to live together anymore. It's literally impossible for them to do so. They're getting a divorce. Who owns the house?
Yeah, exactly.
So
you should get the house. Yeah.
Sometimes you can dumb it down for these people, you know.
It's a little bit like if you're saying like, hey, so one person doesn't want their body doesn't want to have sex with the other person, the other one does, and so who should win out in the disagreement, the rapist or the other person? And imagine just responding to that as like, well, they'll just agree. No, but the issue is that they don't agree. That's the whole issue. You can't just bypass that by saying, nah, they'll just agree though. It's like, no.
I haven't heard Zulu bring up the sex disease argument in a while.
Yeah.
He's improving. When I first heard that argument, I was like, that sort of gets to the point. I understand where you're coming from, but that's just a ridiculous example. Like it's just funny.
That. I love the example. I wasn't bringing up specifically the I will die if I don't have sex thing, but and by the way, I don't think Liquid Zulu has brought this up before, but to make the example real, my example is just like if you don't, you'll kill yourself. Like that could be real. Like I can like. You know, people are, these lefties are constantly calling, Republicans and like incels. Like, why don't you just use that? But maybe to get back into the topic that we originally got into, could you make the more positive case for? You kind of already got into it with like the it bans murder and stealing, and that pretty much gets you to libertarianism. But can you kind of make the case for libertarianism like from Islam? That makes sense, instead of just defending it.
Yeah, sure. If you look at the mainstream view, and obviously I have different opinions from the mainstream view, but I am trying to represent the mainstream view as much as possible because that's what people mean by Islam.
Yeah.
The mainstream view does recognize private property. There are hadiths that explicitly allow you to protect your private property from invaders, from aggressors. Actually, if you end up actually
oh no, you just cut out. Uh-oh.
That talks about just not having controls at all, and that's something that's useful. Is it cutting out or is everything okay?
It was, but now you're good, so you can keep going.
Okay. yeah, there's another hadith that goes explicitly against price controls. If the Muslims, like at least scholars, do not recognize fiat currency as against central bank. I don't know if you've seen Phil Bishop's review on the ISIS video on this, the federal bank, which was really funny. They're basically like, I don't know how successful the project this is. I mean, it's a terrorist organization, so it doesn't matter. But overall, if you look at some of the Muslim civilizations and compare it to other empires, they did not debase their currency as much as other civilizations. Their silver coin retained. Actually, this isn't what has government done to our money. Rothbard talks about the I think it's Andalusian regime, and they didn't debase the currency as much. So you can certainly bring up examples. Islamic Golden Age, I think, is a good example of Islam being capable of resulting in a culture that's flourishing, that allows people to think and share. And if you have a golden age, you cannot have it without respecting private property. You cannot have it without libertarian principles. There were a lot of violations of the non-aggression principle, obviously, throughout Islamic history, and the same goes for other religions.
Oh yeah.
The only argument that I have to defend here against Fabian Liberty is that if he's saying that Christians can be libertarians and Muslims can't, that's very arbitrary. I can just bring up what bad things that Christians have done, and just compare it with what bad things Muslims have done. Compare the ideologies, and you soon find out that they're pretty similar as far as a libertarian perspective goes. Like, obviously they're very different religions. I'm not trying to disrespect Christianity or Islam by saying they're the same religions, but from the point of view of the non-aggression principle, libertarianism, Islam is a belief. And if you want to talk about like women being oppressed, if the women want to leave Islam, they can. No one's forcing her. As far as in my community, no one's forcing any woman to stay Muslim. They want to cover their bodies. They want to be humble, and this is something that Christians also want. They don't want women to like show flesh. They don't want them to be immodest. It's the same thing. Yeah, sure. Maybe Islam is a little more strict with the rules. I would argue that's a positive thing. I would argue that if you want to maintain a society, a libertarian society, that is, I think Islamic rules regarding women.
You just cut out again. Shoot.
How they relate to each other. Oh, is everything okay now?
Yeah. Yep. You're good.
Okay. I guess we have these periodic cutoffs.
Yeah, it's mostly good.
It's okay.
I'm really happy with it so far, so we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just overall, I think Islamic rules are a good way to maintain a libertarian society, because it recognizes the family, it protects the family structure, it protects the institution of marriage, and it protects private property. So these are all the things that I guess most libertarians who are anti-Islam and are conservative would actually want.
Yeah.
It
kind of what I'm thinking of. It's like capitalism, like minus Vegas, which is like fantastic to me. It's like that's like I remember I was in class once. I was in economics class in high school, and the teacher. Are you still here? You're kind of.
I think.
Okay, cool. My economics teacher said, "What is the worst thing about capitalism?" And I was like, "Porn." He was like, "Corn? Like the way we produce corn?" I'm like, "No, the fact we produce porn." And because to me, in my view, the worst thing about capitalism, like the best thing about capitalism, is that it is the most efficient way of getting people what they want. Now, the worst thing about capitalism is it's the most efficient way of giving people what they want. The bad part is if you have people who want they want bad things, then they're going to be getting those bad things like lickety split because capitalism is so efficient, right? Now, if you want good things though, then you're going to be getting them. You're going to have more food. You're going to have like for instance, like right now we have people who are in the United States, we have far more people who are obese and are approaching death faster because of too much food, right? You'd never hear about that in the Soviet Union. This is a point that Zulu made recently. Or it's like
yeah, because
yeah. So it's just something to keep in mind. And even if like Islam's not true, whatever, I'm not Muslim, obviously. There's something to be said that like you need philosophy beyond just saying, hey, we need to make widgets. Because you say, well, what are those widgets even going to be, right? Because those widgets can be good for our life. They can help us pursue what is best for living life here on Earth, or they can be actively bad for our lives, right? Be it unhealthy food or pornography or crappy TV, these types of things. So, yeah.
And obviously an argument has to be made from a libertarian side on this because a lot of conservatives argue for state control for these good things that we talk about, like banning pornography, like banning usury, stuff like this. I think the best way to handle these things, the best way to structure society according to your own values, according to your conservative values, is to do so through freedom of association. And I think the Amish people are a prime example for this. They have been retaining their culture, their way of life pretty well, and they're not oppressive, they're not persecuting anyone, they're not in a conflict with other demographics in the United States. They're pretty peaceful, and the way they preserve their values is through excommunication. They say, if you don't live the Amish life, we don't want to trade with you, we don't want to talk to you, and we don't want you in our churches. It's that simple. And if we truly sort of embrace this freedom of association idea and the right to discriminate, you will have the libertarian, the freedom, and you will also have the conservative, which helps sort of the libertarian society stay libertarian. So, yeah, I'd say, I understand if Christians don't like Muslims. I would say I have a lot of Christian friends, and I like them, they like me. There are cases where Christians and Muslims can get along well, but if there are these Christians who really, really hate Muslims to an extent that they don't want to live with Muslims, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm not gonna forcefully integrate myself with you. That's fine.
How familiar?
Yeah.
How familiar are you with the idea of a covenant communities? I think this is Hoppa's idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Right now, there is this group. It's called I think Return to Homeland. It's in Kansas.
Oh, okay.
They're basically homesteading this like wilderness basically. Nice. And they're all building their houses, and they're saying that they said this specifically. It's freedom of association, and we just don't want to associate with black people, with Jewish people, or with homosexual people. This is their standard, and this is their property too. So they're like, we don't want to uproot them. We don't want to deport them. We don't want to harm them in any way. We just want to live our lives according to our own values. They have American Christian values that they want to live by. They went out there and built their own community, and it's their property. Everyone individually there owns a property, and if someone comes closer to them and homesteads, they'll just not talk to this guy. Yeah. This is completely allowed. It should be completely allowed. And honestly, other communities should do this too, because there's a lot of conflict between different demographics in the United States and in UK especially. The Muslims and the Hindus always like fight each other there apparently.
Are you no borders or are you closed borders?
I am open borders fully.
Me too. So this is this is something I wanted to that you made me think of was like the libertarians will like whine about like we're forcing to integrate with them. It's horrible. It's like, and I think there isn't any truth to that, especially stuff that's horrible like welfare, which is just straight up like parasitism. Just like, hey, these people are just gonna be leeches on the rest of society. Something you mentioned earlier on like conservatives kind of understandably hate Islam's or Muslims for that. Is because they're leeching. I don't think that's. I think it's kind of overblown. But the point is that like when I hear these libertarians saying like we really hate immigrants, and all these conservatives are like we really hate immigrants. Okay, why do the immigrants keep coming then? If you really hated immigrants, they wouldn't want to be here. If it's really true that like people they'll point out these studies. This is something Dave Smith does. Is he'll point out this study. It's like 80% of Americans say that immigrants are poo-poo baddie. I don't like them. And it's like, okay, well then they wouldn't be here, right? If it's really true that 80% of Americans didn't like them, guess what? They wouldn't have, nobody would be willing to hire them. Nobody would be willing to feed them, right? When you see people like they wouldn't be coming here. They'd be leaving because we would be like, no, we're not giving you food. We're not helping you. You don't have to like, I know that it's a little different because it like, you're not allowed to discriminate at a lot of stores and stuff, but in general, like if it really was true, like they wouldn't be here as much,
Yeah, I think you're right about what you said. If it was true that the overwhelming majority of Americans don't really want immigrants, they wouldn't be invited. They use this word a lot, invitation, as if there's public property. Again, that's I think the fundamental problem with their approach. They think that there is such a thing as public property.
Yeah,
there isn't. Like you cannot derive this from non-aggression principle. You cannot. It's just impossible. As a libertarian, you cannot argue for public property. And if you argue for public property, you will have to adopt democracy. You have to say whatever the majority says we'll have to do with this public property. So suddenly you're a fan of democracy. I mean, and this is like one of my biggest disappointments with Hans Hoppe. Like he wrote a whole book on democracy being evil, and I agree with it. It is evil. And then he's like, well, there's public property, and we can just use democracy to manage this public property. This is insane.
Yeah, exactly.
And like if you're saying that the taxpayers own this infrastructure, show me the title transfer. Show me the exact title transfer of how they actually ended up doing the road. Because the people who built the road is either like a third party company that are paid by your tax dollars, or I guess government employed people just overall. Like it wasn't you. You still have a right. You still have a title over the money that was taken from you. Yes, but not the road. Not the road. You didn't build the road.
Yeah, exactly.
The government took the money from you and paid for the road that with the money that was stolen from you.
Yeah. I have something that I think might make it more clear because it's something that generally you wouldn't want, right? Like imagine somebody just like came up to you and like mugged you of $100, and then you told the police about it. You're like, he just took $100 from me. I'm really upset about this. And they found the crook, and then they returned what the crook bought with your money, not the money itself. They returned what the crook bought, and it was like a Barbie. Like he wasted $100 on like a $3 Barbie. You'd be furious. You'd be like, no, I am owed the $10, but now I'm owed the $100. But imagine instead he spends the $100 on a stock. I mean, this is a really crazy mugger, but and so he goes and invests in a stock, and it's $120, and he comes back, and you're like, no, I want the $120 now. It's like it's more easy for people to fall into the trap where like they want the thing that they view as higher, but if you also think about it has to be. It has to be both. It's either you get whatever they bought with the money, or you get the money back. But there's no, well, this time I like what they bought with the money more. Like I don't really know how they're deriving that from principles. And in fact, that's the issue with Dave Smith. He introduced me to libertarianism. Like he's changed my life, and I cannot repay him that debt ever. But at the same time, it's like his complete ineptitude in philosophy, at least as of recently, has been so embarrassing and has led to so many mistakes that would have just been solved if he doesn't have to be an objectivist. Just read a little bit of Ayn Rand, a little bit about epistemology, a little bit about metaphysics, and read the argumentation ethics a couple times, and most importantly, maybe read some Stephen Kinsella. Like, he clears up a lot of these issues. Like, I listen to sometimes he does like a show where he just takes clips from shows he was on as a guest, and then also just like the stuff he's read, I'll like listen, like I'll have AI like read to me like his stuff. Like, have you read any of Stephen Kinsella at all?
No, I just read Rothbard and some of Papa's work.
That's enough. That's good too. Maybe just go back and read some of Rothbard. I know that later in life became kind of more, I guess, conservative, you could say, but I'm not super positive on that. Shoot, I've lost you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think, yeah, it was just cut off for a second there.
Okay.
Is everything okay?
Yep, good now.
Very cool.
Yep. Is there...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, you can just read Rothbard and some of Papa's works, and I think that should be fine, honestly.
I guess the issue with Hoppe and Rothbard is that sometimes they don't exactly apply their principles out, right? So, like, in general, I believe I haven't actually read a lot of Rothbard's. At least I've read more his economic stuff, but not as much of his moral stuff, because I've kind of gotten that from Zulu, who's kind of condensed it in his natural law course. And same with Kinsella does a little bit of that by drawing from Rothbard. But like argumentation ethics, and then Rothbard's idea of contracts as being a transfer of title, I think those things are really fantastic. But it's like they reach silly conclusions when they kind of just forget about the philosophy stuff. When they're just like, when they see something that's like they think is bad, and so they're like, well, I just got to figure out some way to just twist my arguments, my worldview into fitting the situation that I don't like. And that's kind of the way I see a lot of the pro borders people. But they're just straight up like, well, I don't like immigration, and it makes me look kind of like a lefty if I do like immigration. So I'm just gonna like try and twist these principles to make it sound like a... Yeah. Did you watch Dave Smith's debate he recently did with like Alex Narasta on what's it called?
Reason TV. So Forum.
Yeah, So Forum. I was thinking, Reason. Did you see that one?
Yeah, and honestly, I'm going to be very honest with you. For a while, I thought Dave had some merit in his arguments, and
me too. Oh crap! You're cut out. Not again.
On this topic. Okay.
I can hear you now. So you're just saying how Dave used to have, you used to think that Dave had some merit on the topic, and so do I. So did I. Yeah. And I was on the fence, but then I fully read Ethics of Liberty by Rothbard, and I had conversations with other people in Mises U. And especially when I talked to Tom Woods on this issue, and sort of figured out his like motivations on it, and like when he gave his first speech about immigrants and like the Chinese population being the majority in Australia, that can't be good for Australians and stuff like that. That has absolutely nothing to do with libertarianism. Like, yeah, I mean, if Chinese people have more kids and homestead more and serve Australia more, there'll be more Chinese people. I mean, this is bordering Hitler's philosophy with or Hegel's philosophy with the race struggle. Like, they have this idea of an eternal struggle, and the races are just like at each other's throats, and like you have to stand for your race. Like, yes, there are conflicts between racial groups. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But basing your worldview on that's like some sort of mystical eternal struggle is dangerous. I have to say, it's dangerous. Oh, definitely.
So yes, I appreciate you not trying to be a lefty. That's a good thing. But I really don't appreciate you doing that at the cost of being more like a Nazi type. I'm not saying Tom was a Nazi, by the way, by any means. Well, he's a great guy. I'm just saying that these ideas can be bent in that way, and
not very difficult.
By the way, and by the way, like I think he was just being sort of honest and open with me, because it was Mises you, and he was just like speaking his mind. I don't want to put words in his mouth, by the way. He might have meant something completely different. He's a great guy, and we also talked about national divorce, and like I said to him, no matter where you come from, and in this particular issue, whether you're open borders or closed borders, I guess we both can agree that secession and independence is sort of the best way to handle this, because even Hoppe was saying that Switzerland gave the authority to cantons, the smaller states, about immigration, and their situation just got a lot better than compared to other European states, where it was all centralized. So I would say, like as an immigrant myself here, I would totally be okay with this. And I already live in Massachusetts, so Massachusetts people are very open and welcoming to immigrants, and they're fine with them. In California too, like an attempt to remove immigrants with National Guard, it just caused more conflict, more destruction. In the state. I mean, California is already a communist held territory, as Mark Thornton rightly put it, and similarly with Massachusetts, unfortunately. But there will always be cities, there will always be metropolitan areas, including in places like Alabama. Like when I went to Auburn, Alabama, it was a university district, and there was like a lot of different people from different races. So it seems like it's kind of a common trend. So I think when you debate on immigration and other things, if you do not stick to principles, it gets really ambiguous real quick, and you can either go to the full socialist type, or you can go to the full sort of, I don't want to say Nazi, I guess it's kind of an overused term, but like full right wing.
Authoritarian.
Authoritarian, exactly, like authoritarian conservative type. Well, we don't want to be either of those things.
Yeah.
We want to be libertarians.
Yeah. So going off of that is like, to me, what matters, it's not like the race of people. Like I don't care that much. The reason why I care about people's race at all is because it's an indicator of the philosophy they believe, because generally people, for whatever reason, in races, they kind of group up together, right? And so like, if I just hear somebody is like, they're from another country and they're darker, it's like, well, there's a fairly high chance they have a different philosophy than me. And generally I want to be around people with the same philosophy. But like the second I hear that somebody's like, hey Tucker, they're like a libertarian like you, they believe in freedom and they believe in justice and they believe in responsibility for oneself, right? Like what I don't understand is when people make like the consequentialist case for immigration, and they're like, yeah, we just don't like them here because they have bad ideas and they're ruining society. Like some of them are socialists. It's like, then why don't we just throw out the socialists? Like if that's actually your point, like I would be way more easy. It's way more easy to convince me that we should throw out everybody who calls themselves a socialist than people who happen to be from a different country. Because the ones that come from a different country and they're like, I hate socialism, I'm a capitalist. Please be here. Yes, mow my lawn. Like this is fantastic.
That's a Mantis Wave solution. I don't know if you're getting this from yourself or him, but I was watching a video on immigration article, like just a general red pill video. Like I sometimes watch Mantis Wave. He said the exact same thing. He's like, we should allow immigrants. We should allow immigrants who call themselves libertarians, and we should deport everyone who's a socialist. I mean, obviously, I don't support this either, but it's funny. I'd definitely be more for that rather than just like kicking every single immigrant out.
Oh yeah, well then you'd have to leave. So yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, no. Like,
well, that's also that part too. I guess it's for me, it's hard to be sort of not biased in this.
Yeah.
I tried really hard to not be biased in these topics and stay intellectual as much as possible, without like letting my emotions sort of take over. I even considered the closed borders position for a while, and I'm like, holy shit, should I move out of the country? But I don't know. It took.
You're like, I'm so principled that I might just have to leave to do what is right.
But I mean, even by their standards, at least the friends that I'm talking to, they're like, well, if you can integrate with the community, if you can if you graduate from a college here, if you get a job, or if you're like libertarian, capitalist, freedom-loving person, it's fine. I just find it inconsistent. Like, either kick me out or keep me in. Like,
Yeah.
what's the criteria? And I just came back to like, hey man, I have property here.
Yeah.
I am sort of, yeah, I have property here. You cannot kick me out of my property. Like,
Exactly. Like,
simple.
what I'd want, like, if somebody would say, hey, Halit, he's an immigrant here. I don't like immigrants. He violated our rights. Okay. Point out when he violated your rights. When he went to the store
Exactly.
and bought juice or whatever? Don't think so. Like, when he was sitting at home, like when he bought property, like when is it that he violated rights? And it always goes back to, well, he crossed this line that the government says is a no zone. You're not allowed to go past that line. Why? Like, how did they homestead all that territory, right? Because when I, like, to homestead something, you have to go and border it. You have to go and make first use of it. You do not own stuff by just like drawing a circle, right? Like an imaginary circle, and then going, I own all of that, right? Like, it's almost like the people who are anti-immigration, or like the closed borders people. It's like they have to hold to the view that like the United States is like all owned by the government, or is all owned collectively. Like, why is it just the little ring around the outside is owned collectively? Why not everything? Why not? I mean, they built the.
And another thing is, if they're really making a taxpayer argument, I pay taxes to Massachusetts, to the city that I live in, Massachusetts, more than they have done it.
Yeah.
They haven't paid any taxes to Massachusetts. They haven't paid any taxes to the city that I live in. Who are they to kick me out of the city that I pay taxes to? According to their own political sort of moral framework, if you're a taxpayer, you belong in this community social contract and public property. Okay, I belong in the public property because I pay taxes to Massachusetts. So you live in, I don't know, Texas or Florida, and you're saying, oh, well, you should be out of because I paid tax to the federal government, and you haven't. But you're kicking me out of Massachusetts when I paid taxes to Massachusetts, but not to the federal government, I guess, like prior to this. And I mean, I guess like is the understanding that the moment you pay taxes, you become a sort of contributing factor. Okay, there are a lot of immigrants who pay taxes. I pay taxes. So I don't know. Am I to say kick the immigrants out now, or do I have the right to say? Oh no, actually, we should have all the immigrants here because I invite them all as the public property owner. Like, it's a very silly, inconsistent position, unfortunately, and I really tried to give it a chance, and it's just hard to defend. It's really hard to defend.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was considering being pro borders, and I was pretty much pro borders. Is I pretty much was just like warping. Like, I remember this. I'm not making this up, and I feel bad about it now. But I literally remember Robbie Bernstein, who's the co-host of Part of the Problem. He mentioned that, like, because pretty much the way I rested it on was, I was like, well, the issue is that immigrants are taking in like welfare benefits, and because of that, I can justify it by saying that it's more theft. That's the way I justified it, which even that has its own issues. Like, if you have more kids, the kids are the biggest recipients of welfare, so therefore you can't have kids. Like, you're going to lead to really crazy land very quickly if that's your worldview. But anyways, I didn't think of that at the time. But the way I saw it was, I was like, okay, thank goodness. Like, this is what I thought. I was literally like, thank goodness they're taking welfare, because that means I can be against it. Because I was like, and the reason I wanted to be against it, immigration, as far as I know, has not made my life worse at all. Like, I literally only just hear people on the news whining about it. Like, I personally, as far as I can tell, have never been affected by it. Nobody I know has died from fentanyl, which I think should be legal anyways. I've never had a job, as far as I know, taken by an immigrant. Like, it literally doesn't affect me. And so, but I wanted to be against it literally just because
there's no way.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to be against it just because I didn't want to look like a loser. That was it. And when I found out, when Robbie Bernstein was like, you've cut out. I'm not trying to talk over you. Okay, hopefully you're joining. But okay, are you back? Are you good?
I think you're back. I think you were just talking about like the welfare stuff. That's where you left off.
Yeah, and I was
Welfare, like, oh, you were personally affected by immigrants and fentanyl stuff.
what I was just finishing off with is that I was literally like sad, and this is, I feel horrible about this. This is really bad on me, as I felt sad when Robbie Bernstein was like, yeah, the immigrants really aren't taking as much welfare as people say, because he had like gone through and looked at the numbers. And I was literally sad because I'm like, well, my whole case rested on that, and I really want to be against this thing, and I don't know how to be against it as a libertarian. And of course, then eventually I found Zulu. I found Liquid Zulu's videos, and he was just like, he just snapped me right into position where I'm like, yep, I'm just totally against it. It's unjust. You're violating these people's rights, you know. But yeah, you were gonna say something. You can go now.
If you come into this country in a legal way and, for example, seek asylum, you're not allowed to have welfare. You're not allowed to get food stamps, as far as I know. You're not allowed to get financial aid, which is why I myself couldn't, like, obviously I'm not saying I'm entitled to the financial aid. I'm just saying most of my peers, I pay taxes, and other taxpayers take the financial aid and I don't. So I wasn't able to go to college for a while. I had to get merit scholarship to stay in college and go to college and finish my degree. So the immigrants that I know, none of them are taking welfare, and you know, I guess this could depend on the community. Some of them are taking advantage of the affordable housing stuff, which is I just condemn that. I just tell them, don't do this. This is just making us look bad, and they'll just say these people are leeches, and like when I didn't do anything myself.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
as far as I could tell, yeah, like the whole argument, you can drive really absurd stuff from it, like, oh, if the majority decides you should not have children because on the public property the children will use the public property, then you're not allowed to have children anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
And their reductio ad absurdum is, it can be easily answered. And I think Liquid Zulu sort of handles this really well. Like, the reductio ad absurdum is like, oh, what if the homeless like fentanyl consuming guy, homeless guy, he just comes into school and he's just like homesteads the school because it's a public property, so it doesn't own anything. Like, yeah, if you had absolutely no restrictions, maybe you can have a few instances of that homeless guy, but if you truly had no restrictions on the public school, some guy might buy it or homestead it himself and actually turn it into a profitable business, turn it into an office space, storage, library, anything. But you are arguing for the socialist side and saying, no, this should stay a public school, centrally planned public school.
Yeah.
So you're arguing for socialism and we're arguing for capitalism.
Yeah. For the good of society. Wait a minute. What do you mean the good of society? There's only individuals, right? Society is only a collection of individuals. I drives me nuts when they just sound like commies, like socialists. This is kind of way back in our conversation, but I really wanted to touch on it. Is you mentioned like Hegel and like the idea of like class warfare between races and whatnot. And to me, it's like the issue, like, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is that there is an actual class struggle, and it is a very good way of understanding history. But it's not between black people and white people, or darker versus lighter people. It's not between even Christians and Muslims, or whatever it is. It's not between the Democrats and Republicans, obviously. The true class struggle through almost all of society is between the productive class and the anti-productive class, between the working class people who are actually producing for societies, the capitalists, the entrepreneurs, the employees, right, versus the government, right, and all of their little cronies, right? That is the proper way of viewing society. And so it drives me nuts. Like, do you remember when you were at Mises U? I think for people who are listening to this, you can probably find this online. This is just this past summer. There was a debate that we watched where they were debating about immigration. Do you remember that, Halit?
Oh, I don't actually. I thought I remember a debate about tariffs, but not
about tariffs. Yeah, you're correct. You're right. Sorry. The reason I thought of it is because it's related to immigration. What pretty much the conservative, I forget his name, kept saying was essentially, I don't like them. They're different than me. right? He hardly came with any economic arguments. I was like really surprised. I'm like, well, clearly he's going to the Mises Institute, which is an institute founded on Ludwig von Mises. Oh, what is he known for? I don't know. A giant treatise on human action, economics, right? And so I assumed he would pull up with a bunch of economic arguments, but he didn't. His main argument was literally they're different than us, and he doesn't trust them, right? And this shows and this you hear this from conservatives. This also comes from the lefties too. So I'm not giving anyone over there any credit, and as we've gone over, some libertarians. But it's like they think that the actual struggle is between like races or like religions, right? This drives me nuts. People like Nick Fuentes, who it seems like the only problem that he has in society is like Jews. He's like, they're controlling everything. It's like, no, the government's controlling everything. Like that's the issue. No, they're not controlling everything, obviously, but that's the issue is government, right? I don't care if they're Jewish, white, black, green, blue. I don't care if they're from the Teletubbies. If they're in charge of the government, that's very bad. That's all you need.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, the core of your message, but I think it is also important to recognize, I'm not saying there's a race struggle or anything, but I'm saying that racial differences matter in a way that,
that's true.
In a way that I think you already agreed before, because people usually are in peace with other people who look like themselves, or who have shared values, who have similar beliefs. So yeah, I just wanted to have that note aside, but I generally agree with what you're saying.
Oh yeah. I totally agree with that. It's obviously
and on that.
Sorry, you can go.
Yeah, on that debate, I think his initial argument was like, we shouldn't trust them because if we keep trading with them, they can just ditch us, and then we're stuck with this, right? That's his very vague argument, and he's saying basically we should ditch them now and automate and have Americans work, have American employees. So
very
my question to him was, okay, so we can right now ditch them and adopt technology and automation to cover for whatever they were trading for. Why don't we do it then when these untrustworthy Chinese people just ditch us in trade? Why don't we adopt automation and all these solutions that you propose when they ditch us and enjoy the cheap products in the meantime?
Oh, you're cutting out. Whoa. Okay, you got through most of your question.
Okay. So, like, I'm just repeating just to be sure. His like, why aren't we adopting these tariff recovery policies then, and enjoy the cheap Chinese products now, because we do prefer them. We trade with them. That means we prefer them.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, yeah, but what about the Chinese workers and the environment? And I was like, okay, thank you for having a conversation with me. I just didn't take him seriously at that point, because his whole argument was like, America first, our economy, American people, Chinese people are not trustworthy, and then he just switches to, because he realizes that his economic argument is total BS. He's like, what about the environment? What about the Chinese workers? Oh, you care about environment? You care about them now? I was like, I cannot take you seriously, because I think you're just arguing for argument's sake at this point.
Yeah, I think
so.
I think a lot of like the conservatism, it's literally like, ew, they're yucky. Oh, they're different than me. It's kind of like like when a little kid like has never seen anybody with like a disability before, and so like they see somebody with like a disability, like their arm is gone or something, and they're just like, Mom, look, I don't like that. That's weird. It's literally like conservatives when they talk about immigration. They're not like making like these precise like economic arguments. Or not. They appeal to philosophical ideas for sure, but they don't make philosophical arguments. They don't go at the core and go, well, blah, 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 this means to this. They're not building off of something like the non-aggression principle or their own principles, right? They're literally just like, I care about the United States, so I don't like any other countries. It's like, Yeah, but the tariffs make us better off anyways. Like it really is just. It reminds me. I know somebody who, whenever I argue about tariffs, they said, "Hey, we really need to tariff like OPEC, because what happens is that OPEC is they'll make the oil really really cheap, and then they'll sell it to us, and then they'll do the prices really high when we start selling oil." It's like this is the exact same argument that socialists make against capitalism by saying that like companies are just going to lower their prices. And
Price gouging.
Yeah, price gouging. It's like, I'm trying to remember them all. It's like, okay, if businesses charge lower prices, they're price gouging. That's horrible. If they keep prices the same, they're price stagnating. That's horrible. And if they higher prices, well, then they're higher prices, and that's horrible. It doesn't matter what business.
It's greedflation.
Yeah.
They call it greedflation.
It's like, it doesn't matter what businesses do. Whatever they do, people don't like them, right? Especially commies. And the issue is that like I know people think like it's Republicans versus Democrats. No, they both hold the same philosophy. They're just inconsistent on different issues, but they're the same team, right? It's the same exact. They're the same problem, you know.
I 100% agree, and I think this really showed itself when the current administration is trying to own 10% of Intel.
Oh yeah, that's
which
horrible.
And Republicans are actually cheering for this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, state ownership.
Yeah.
Like, what was that MAGA communist guy? Do you know him?
Was he at the thing, or what do you mean, just online?
No, just online. This guy is like an actual MAGA guy, and he's communist. Like he's like actual communist.
No, it's MAGA. Like
no, it doesn't.
It doesn't surprise me at all that I'd hear somebody who's MAGA and communist. Like people think like this thing that frustrates me to no end is people hear like, oh, you're a capitalist, you must be a Trump guy. It's like Trump hates capitalism. What are you talking about, right? He's inconsistent. He likes Coca-Cola. He likes McDonald's. But like people who really like capitalism, they'd be opposed to tariffs. Because what is another word for putting tariffs? I don't like competition. I'm too much of a loser to compete with them, so I'm not going to compete with them. What is that? That's just like being a socialist. That's just saying, hey, I'm too much of a weak loser that I can't fight for my own earnings. I can't fight for what's good for my own life. I need to have somebody else do it for me with the force of a gun instead of through convincing, right? It's like that is completely contrary to capitalism, which needs competition, right? It's like this is very basic stuff, but although something that drives me
people.
No, you go.
And people have these understanding of rights, and I think you already know what I'm talking about. It's positive rights, like, oh, I actually deserve this because they have this abstraction of a civilized society, or a civilized society should provide me with healthcare, education, this and that, because they view the civilized society as a collective, as a social contract, and they're like, okay, since I'm in the social contract, do the social contract provide me with healthcare, with education? But they completely fail to see that there is actually no such collective, that the society is, like you said, is made up of individuals. And when you get your free healthcare and free education, that comes from people who are forced to pay for them and who are forced to provide them to you. So that's these abstractions that are being fed to them in colleges, in the classes that I'm taking. Honestly, like every time I sort of discuss these things with my friends and stuff like that, like it's just kind of rage bait. Honestly, I just can't take them seriously anymore.
Yeah, it's bad.
But
yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't explain it. When you become a libertarian, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like when I compare myself like now to like the way I was before, I like understood like argumentation ethics even. It's like I literally didn't understand, like I just didn't have any sort of metric for even understanding politics. I was just like randomly applying different rules to different cases, right? When it came to abortion, I was like a deontologist, and I thought that abortion was wrong because it's murder. And when it came to other things, I was like, it was more of a consequentialist, where I'm like, well, if you look at it, it's actually just a little bit better for the GDP or whatever. Just randomly applying that principle. But like after you like ingrain like the non-aggression principle, it's like it completely changes your life, and you're actually able to understand politics with an actual lens and go, this is correct, this is bad, and you're consistent. You're applying the same metric to every single thing. Is this aggression or not? Right? If it's not aggression, well, we can use other tools to figure it out. But if it's aggression, automatically it's wrong. It's off a bat, which is pretty much everything government does, right?
Exactly, and people don't really care about contradictions, but apparently you did, which is why you became a libertarian.
Exactly.
So people will pick and choose and have a poly-legal system, I guess, as Liquid Zulu puts it. They have multiple laws that they follow that contradict each other. So, and they think this is the best way to live. So, I don't think it's going to work out for anyone, including them. And it's sort of inevitable that these systems will fail. And if people don't see why it failed and try it again, well, it's kind of on them, honestly, at this point. I can't really blame like the evil politicians who are scheming and stuff like that. If you just don't understand this, and if you're letting the evil politicians do their thing, then what can I say?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's really easy for people to hate the politicians, but you have to hate who voted for them, because that's the only reason they're there, right? Donald Trump's only in office because people voted for him, unless the election was fake or rigged, which apparently every other election is, right?
Well, I would say there's a nuance to that argument, because a lot of the people are right now voting for the lesser evil. They're not necessarily voting because they think this. I wouldn't necessarily blame everyone, but I would say that people are to be blamed to some extent when politicians do this evil stuff and they just stay silent.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying like people are to be blamed fully, or I'm not saying people are not to be blamed at all. I think there's a middle way.
Yeah, and that's fair. But to be fair, so even though there is certainly a large amount of people who are just voting for who they like out of the two lesser evils, right? But they only got in office because a certain amount of people just straight up love them, right? So there is a certain amount of people you really just can say, hey, what the heck are we doing? But I'm trying to think, is there anything else you want to touch on before we log off?
I think that's it. We covered everything that's closely or remotely relevant to Islam and libertarianism, so
nice.
I think we're good to go.
Yeah, this was awesome. I had a lot of fun talking to you. Again, it's just like I feel bad I'm kind of cheating on my friend that's a little Oasis, but this was nice to take a break from talking to the crazies. Hopefully this refuels you for the battles that have to come this week when you're arguing with your friends, right?
Yeah, I really enjoy talking about libertarianism. This is really like my hobby, and I really have a lot of fun talking about politics and stuff like that. And actually, I should let you know, we're going to have a debate with Democrats. I won't be debating. My friends are going to be debating against them, and I think it's mostly about Ukraine. It's going to be about Ukraine, and it's going to be about rent control. Pretty easy stuff, so I think they're going to do well. But so yeah, that's what I'm going to be going through.
You had a debate before with some socialists you sent me, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I've just been too busy to get around to it, but now I think of it, I'm going to eventually start doing streams when I have a couple more subscribers. I'm going to start doing streams where I review debates. So I can either just do that by my lonesome and just review your debate. But if you want, you could also come on and we could just stream talking about your debate. I by the way, I've done a lot of debate. I did debate in high school. So I know after debate, it's like every shower, like you don't want to hop in the shower because you get in and you're like, oh, why didn't I say that? Oh no.
I should have said that. Yeah, exactly.
It's bad. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything before we log off?
I think that's it. Thank you for having me on your show, man.
Yeah, of course. So this is the first episode of the Tucker Marlor Show. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks so much, Halit Ozgur. So thank you.